health.
That's right.
It's off
New
the
Dad
same
Gaming doesn't have any sick days.
Oh my lord! Kind of did this week. I mean, that was like Wednesday. I was beat. Thursday, I was. I think Thursday I was busy. I forget
It's
what
just
happened
the
Thursday.
mind hate that you
Oh,
have.
no, Thursday you passed out, and then Friday I
Oh
was
yeah,
busy. That's
yeah.
right. So it's just.
Hey, yeah. I had an
Oh,
early
let me
night. I
arrive
was in
here.
bed by 9. Like that is crazy for me.
I remember the one time like we just got the kids to bed. It's 8:30. My wife had like just turned the light off. It's like 8:30. Like, oh my god, you going to sleep? She's like, I can't. I'm so tired. I think I did too. Just like, all right, yeah.
Yeah,
Just fell sideways and slept.
it's
Oh,
nuts, man.
let's see,
Good
just something.
times, good times.
Absolutely. Dad's gonna give a wheeze and a snort here before we go, and hopefully it is the last one. Let's see. Mute the mic.
This is what we live through.
Oh, parents. Woo.
I like the chugging of ginger ale too.
Ginger ale, as if that's
yeah,
gonna help.
that's
It's like, yes, this sugary beverage will clearly be a solvent for my wounds. Okay, let this go. We're gonna push through. We're gonna make it happen.
right.
We are streaming now to all the systems, and we're ready to go because we are live. The adult beverages are poured. The kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming, a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives. My name is Trevor, and I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 14-year-old, an 11-year-old, and my 14-year-old is actually gaming in the next room.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, mine too. I'm taking a bit of a risk here because we are late recording. This week has been terrible. Like we were between two of us, we had like a couple busy nights. We had a couple pass outs.
Yeah.
I'm currently sick as hell. Like I feel awful. And I was up on a ladder hanging lights on the house because this is the only weekend. We're up in Canada. We're in November. Christmas season's upon us, but today was like positive. Like at 11 degrees. I wish I had the Fahrenheit. Hold on. Let me Google this real quick. 11.
Yeah.
Celsius,
There's only a small window where it is warm enough, and then you get those winter winds, and you're like, why did I put this off?
Yeah. And then you're up on the top of a ladder. So today was like 52, roughly, Fahrenheit.
Okay.
11 to 12 degrees Celsius. So it was nice. And it's like, okay, if I don't get these lights up now, like next weekend is going to be horrific. Like guaranteed blizzard. You just like, that's just the law of nature. So it's like, fine, got to get up. So kids were stomping around, playing soccer on the ladder at the basement, at the base of it. I was sick as hell, but I was up on this ladder. I'm like, this is going to pay off. So I feel like hell right now, Jeff. I feel terrible.
Hey.
It's just like
glad to have you here, though, Trevor. I mean,
yeah, and it's just, man, that's parenthood. It's just,
it is.
You're just going to wake up some days and feel like absolute garbage, and it's not going to matter. You just got to push forward.
All right, the family keeps going. You have to keep chugging along.
Kids don't care. Kids don't give don't give a rip about it.
You do not.
But still, we progress. And besides our own sack of woes, we got some sacks of good news. And what that was is we heard from a gaming dad, listener of the show, and they pulled the ultimate Christmas move. Christmas is upon us, folks. We're about like a month or so away. And they went ahead and purchased a PS5 for their kid. So Christmas upon us, like it's going to be the momentous, amazing morning. How fantastic. Immediately, just like warms your heart as a gaming dad.
Yeah.
Right. I hope they have the video of that ripping open the paper to see it.
Right.
Now, reminder, do plug it in and update everything.
Including controllers. Like everything.
Yes. Like gaming dad tip, all the games, the system itself, controllers, as Jeff said, I had no idea you had to update controllers. Apparently you do.
Yeah.
So get that, open it up and get that done, because no one wants to have a 4-hour update Christmas morning.
No.
But they pulled it off. Congrats to this gaming dad, but they did reach out to him and they asked, hey, I've now gotten this PS5 for my kid, and let's put him in the 10 to 15 range, just to kind of give it. I'm trying not to call it the gaming dad, just in case them and their kid are listening.
Yeah.
You're more on the PS5 side. And the question comes up, it's like, what games would be good for, not necessarily it's a kid, but it's also like, you're not going to go for like the grotesque violence necessarily.
No.
So for a kid of about that range, 10 to 15, like what PS5 games? I almost feel like we should do this every week leading up to
Yeah,
Christmas. Like next week will
up
be
to
the
Christmas.
Xbox. Next week will be Switch,
and everything.
perhaps.
Yeah.
But this week, for the gaming dad that's going to go ahead and pull the trigger on a PS5 for their kids, like what would you recommend be also tucked in away in that tree?
So as part of buying a PS5, I believe, unless they've changed the rules, it does come with Astro's Playroom. So Astrobot had a Playroom launch title. That is a perfect kid game to kind of get introduced, just not only to the system, but the controller and the haptics and stuff. So anybody, any age can have fun with that one. And then the sequel is just Astrobot, which I've played. I have nothing but good things to say about that game, and it's just an awesome experience. Again, platformer, so if they're into platformers, absolutely, those are 2 games right away that you could just launch into the system. A big hit with my kids and myself, just again in and around that age, Spider-Man. Spider-Man is always a good one. If you're like okay with, it's Spider-Man comic book violence, right? But there's 3 of them that you can kind of get the old one with the the new PS5 glitz and glamour with it, along with 2 in Miles Morales. So you could have it like tons of hours there, just being your comic book hero and zipping around, New York. But if you wanted something together, honestly, there's some multi-platform games that just shine on the PS5.
Oh yeah, which ones?
Rocket League is a good one. Sackboy again is an exclusive, but that has multiplayer. It Takes Two runs phenomenally well on the PS5. PS4, I had issues with it, but
did your kids get into that one though? Because it seemed a little. I saw that one and I was close to recommending it, but it seemed a bit adult and it seemed a bit it's not too challenging. It just seemed like it would have challenges and an aesthetic that was more appealing to an adult as opposed to a kid.
I think so. My then 10-year-old that played it, it is like the skill level of the gamer. So I tried to play it with my wife, did not work, because
I love you, honey, but it couldn't quite hack it.
There's a lot of dexterity things that have to happen in the game, and it can be quite like, again, it's a tag team thing, but there's timing involved in a lot of those puzzles. So if you don't know where the buttons are, that could be a little bit frustrating. So depending on the skill level of the gamer, that's a good one to pick up. But if they're a little bit lax, then maybe something again, even like Horizon, but the Lego version that just came out, that could be a cool one to get into. Cool. And then maybe the teen part of that, you could do Horizon Remastered or even Horizon Forbidden West, like the sequel of it. Those are kind of cool ones to really experience, like, again, the beauty of what the PS5 can present to you, because I think you really kind of want to show off the system and then get into the games that you love, which any of the sports games. So if they're into any of the hockey games, I know you've talked about NHL, if they're into that, by all means, right? Like this Ratchet and Clank is a good one. That's a good one to get into. So there's plenty of choice, and all probably on discounts depending on if they got the disc version.
Yeah, so I think what I liked about Ratchet and Clank specifically, so I like all those examples. I think Astrobot's a no-brainer because it was built basically as a tech demo, but it's a fully fleshed out game.
Yeah.
So it does 2 things in that you get to experience the absolute power of your new system, and the kids are going to love it. Super, and even it's not too. I didn't see. To be clear, I didn't play it, but all the reviews that I watched through it wasn't too silly for a parent. Like it was just good, legitimate fun.
Yeah,
but I think that's a great title. Sackboy looks fantastic. Ratchet and Clank. The reason I like that was another. It's a great game, like good depth, like good humor, but like it's another showpiece for the capability of the system. It's one of those very few games that you cannot play on your PS4. You couldn't possibly bring it down. It's like there's no way, not just graphic fidelity, but just the way it traverses levels and such is like the old hardware could not handle this.
No, it actually is like super fun and super like when you flip in and out of worlds and like just realize how quickly things can load.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, this is great. Why can't every game do this? So yeah, that's a good one to play. It plays like a cartoon too. So like full movie.
Yeah. So excellent suggestions. I think that's going to be fantastic. Man, it's such a cool move. I absolutely love when
I'm excited for them. It's great. Yeah.
You just want to hear about it. So that's awesome. Sure. Congratulations. Record the video because that
Yes.
video of the kids ripping open this new system on Christmas never gets old.
I love it.
Hey, gaming dads out there, do you have recommendations for a great kid title, anywhere from call it like 8 to 15 for any of the systems? We're going to be featuring some of the other systems in upcoming games, but we'd love to hear from any of them. Do you yourself have a big console purchase planned for upcoming Christmas? Write in, let us know at New Dad Gaming, newdadgaming.com. And we're actually on Blue Sky now as well. So that's now we're looking at Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, X, wherever you can find us. So any of the socials at New Dad Gaming or newdadgaming.com. Now, what I did want to mention, it was a bit of a I was happy to see today that my kid fired up Ghostbusters Spirit Unleashed.
Okay.
And for the like what had happened the previous week is that during the Xbox, there's a free gaming weekend. So for the weekend, there was like 6 or 7 titles that you're allowed to just play for free, which is awesome. Like, it was really great. And the one that he really resonated with was a title that I had no clue even existed. Like, just
like kind. Yeah.
In the deluge of like titles that come through, it was just something that didn't hit my radar, but it totally makes sense because it's a squad-based shooter, except as opposed to killing things, you're trying to capture ghosts.
Right.
So imagine you and 3 others team up, go into a building and try to capture a ghost. And you do contracts and all, like there's a story like mode, but the big thing is really to get online with like 3 other people and play. Now, so he absolutely adored it. And this it was sort of like, again, like anything that's not Roblox at this point, I'm super into for them. It's like this title, this thing that you're talking about, is it Roblox? Because if it's not Roblox, that makes me pretty excited and happy. So I got to the point, he did it all weekend on the free weekend, and they said, hey, can we buy this?
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I pushed back a little bit because it's like, all right, I don't want to drop cash and then find out just the next week, okay, you're right back into Roblox, and this was all a waste of my time. But nope, like happy to see he came on down and he had fired it back up, and he's been playing it like consistency. Almost to the point basically now where it's like he's kind of got the money's worth and we're at like a decent place.
Okay.
Right. So, I mean, a couple like threads to pull upon there is like a Ghostbuster game. Like, okay. It's just like gaming dads might want to check it out. It is legitimately pretty cool, pretty like well put together. Yeah. And then B, just trying to pull out anything from gaming dads or pulling your kids, using free weekends to get your kids to try new things and pull them out of existing habits as far as Roblox or Minecraft or what are they currently doing. Have you had anything recently like where you had them try a demo of something and then they were able to, you're able to pull them out of a existing like of your Minecraft or Roblox?
No. So the problem is that a lot of the times I will introduce things and it might have a good, let's say, good day in the sun, where they play the game and then they go back to it. They go back to Roblox and they go back to Minecraft, where they find the same kind of experience within that platform, which it's like fine, but like you like what you like. I get it, but I do want the variety of things because there's other experiences, right? And things are put together differently, and Roblox tends to have the same platform vibe to it, right? Like that's all. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean it's not as if it completely knocked them off. It was just refreshing to see that some title that I'd never heard about, which is by the way it's not to say normal people have not heard about this one. Like it's just I'm sort of in a dad bubble of survivorship, just trying to like survive out here. So it's not as if I'm on top of it, and I didn't hear it. However, it was more just like, okay, so you're telling me there's this entire like not massive, but like fairly sized AA like a live service Ghostbuster game that actually is put together really well. That seems to have like a nice little fan base and it's surviving. Yeah. So anyways, like I guess in a small way for PSA for gaming dads, hey, there's a Ghostbusters game. If that's your jam, check it out. Like it actually looks pretty fun and pretty well put together. And B, just the idea of using trials and free weekends to introduce the kids to other genres and games that they might not otherwise be able to see, and hopefully, get them playing some other stuff besides ye old faithfuls.
I am all for demos. Bring back demos and trials. that are not paywalled with pre-orders. Just
Yeah.
give us the experience. That's great. Again, introduce kids, next generation dads into something that we may like, that we may not want to drop $80, $90 on right away.
Yeah. So leading up, so in the trial run of the show today, I'd asked you if you had any experience of the Roblox to normal game pathway, where it's like, hey, did they discover a genre of game inside of Roblox and then that carried over to real life? And you dashed my hopes.
Yeah, no, it doesn't happen here. At least not with my kids. So it's like they seek out what they seek out on Roblox, but it is not replicated outside of it, at least so far. So
okay, because because as stated in the show, like I'm a big fan of hockey games, like one of my favorite genres.
Right.
And I come downstairs this morning. What do I see? But like my youngest is playing Roblox hockey. It's pretty jank, but like all the mechanics are there. And it's kind of like I was like leading into it. It's like, hey, we could play this together, like the actual hockey game. Like because I love it. Like I'll play this anytime you want.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, him didn't haw a little bit. But there's just this like beacon of hope where it's like, oh man, like I could get my kids to play an actual hockey game with me because perhaps they got introduced to it through Roblox, and it's going to lead to now games outside of Roblox.
Yeah.
Oh, the potential. But you said no. That's not.
No, it doesn't really happen too often, or at all here. And again, I don't want to be the party pooper, but I definitely think that, like, I'm trying to relate to them and like what is the pull. So I'm thinking like when we grew up, there was the old kind of like click adventures or even flash games, Java games, whatever.
Okay.
And like I played that I had fun with those, whatever, but I did things outside of that. Like, you know what I mean? I was even locked to one console. I had other consoles and experimented with like other games and stuff. And it's an odd thing for me to wrap my head around, of just being locked in to this one thing and searching for different things. And maybe it is just entry point. It's just easy to boot it up. You see all your friends there and you can play any game with them. Like there's no paywall or barrier necessarily around it. And they can just hop in and play a hockey game and then go into a Fortnite style game or whatever.
Yeah, and then like a Monster World one. Yeah. I don't know. It would just be more interesting to see. Like it'll be kind of fascinating to hear. It's almost like when this podcast turns into grandpa gaming.
Right. Yes.
Because what I'm curious about is like, because we had, where does it go for like the next generation? So our parents, generally speaking, some of them kind of played video games, but not really. They maybe played an arcade machine. Our generation grew up on video games, but like NES through to and like Xbox 360, PS3, PS4.
Yeah.
Now we have this whole new world of consoles and PC gaming, but we also have all of these mobile experiences or like minute experiences or live services like a Roblox.
Right.
So the next generation, our grandkids, will their parents like lament? It's like, oh, well, we used to play Roblox and like a much different way, and it's much more pure because we could just do whatever we want. To basically to see how they, upon reflection, from a mature standpoint, like look upon their time within this like genre inside of these like type of games.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I'm also wondering if VR plays the next part in, maybe that catches on at some point, or augmented reality more so. And the kids of the next generation can look back on their parents and be like, you played 2D games?
Like on a flat screen like this?
Yeah, like this is what you did? I'm playing Roblox in VR.
They certainly are like it, unfortunately for VR, like now that I'm getting back into it, one of the biggest complaints you hear ultimately about some of the best titles, like Gorilla Tag, for instance. If you're familiar with the Quest 3 or any of those VR sets, the first thing you eventually hear about Gorilla Tag, which is one of the biggest titles that exist, free to play.
Yep.
And looks terrible. like it's really janky looking. I'm gonna bring it up for
it's also
those
like
watching
motion
live.
sickness inducing. Like I was looking at videos of it and I'm like, how do you operate this in VR?
Let's see, Gorilla Tag
falling over.
No
comments. Yeah, that is all the rage. That is everybody talking about that game at recess. So
yeah, but that's the thing though. At recess, because the thing is, like, the vast majority of kids or players of this are kids.
Yeah.
Right. And for some of the most popular titles, so Horizon Worlds, which is just this like open world kind of tiny little experiences, you can go into worlds, Gorilla Tag, Population One. There's this other, it's escaping me, but it's another kind of get everybody else to build their little worlds. It's very Roblox blocks. It's basically Rec Room.
Oh,
It's basically the Roblox of VR, right?
Right.
But generally speaking, very much kids. Like the only people who are on it are kids. Where you see these adults go onto forums online, it's like, I absolutely hate this. Like, there's nothing but squealing like 10-year-olds. Like, is there any game I can play where it's just fellow adults? So fine, okay, complaint taken. The grander point being is that there seems to be, as far as the base of VR gamers, it actually seems to be more kids than it does seem to be adult.
Which is interesting, again, if that generation or wherever those kids kind of are, bring that forward, and they're actually, the pioneers of VR gaming as the norm, as the base, because it's very much a niche still, right? Like, it's a nice to have. I don't think they can properly sell VR. Just, you need to try it to understand it, and then figure out the multiplayer around it. I think a lot of the games just, do a little 2-hour experience, but they don't really crack open what it could do. But yeah, it'd be fun if they bring that forward. And then, on New Grandpa Gaming, we have VR headsets, and we're doing this with our kids and grandkids in VR.
But it might be too late for some, because the one challenge with you mentioned at the top of the show that your wife wasn't able to really grok it with the It Takes Two, like wasn't able to. That's a almost like a skill gap. Like, you're gonna have a ceiling how good you can get, but you can be competent at games eventually, right?
Yeah.
With VR, especially with adults, like, there is a very significant number of people who get terrible motion sickness.
Yeah,
and I'd have to think it's more prevalent in adults than it is for kids. So as far as a genre that's going to take off, like, it's almost like you need this next wave of kids to train themselves
to
become adept at VR and get their VR legs before before anything could really transpire. Because right now there's like some half that just will never be able to do it.
Yeah, again, maybe I'm just even thinking about going on like roller coasters again, where you're like, I used to be able to do this, and now my stomach can't take that. So swinging around in a tree in VR might be a bit of the same experience.
The bird's too far.
Yeah.
Now, one last thing where it seems like you decided to kind of dip into young man gaming, which is to say, going into a game that has way too much content for any sort of dad to possibly conquer. You found yourself dipping back into Baldur's Gate 3 this week.
I don't know what I'm doing, Trevor. I just
who are you trying to kid? What is this nonsense?
Right. And I think we've talked about it on the show on how, there's main quests and side quests, and it gets overwhelming, and there's lore, and you have to follow everything, and decision
rules.
Why not? So why not just compress that, roll it into a ball, and then call it Baldur's Gate 3? And you're like, Jeff, what are you doing? And I'm like, I have no idea. Again, I bought this game probably months and months ago on sale, and I cracked it open like immediately just to try it out, and then haven't played it since. It's just like, again, gaming dad time. Where does time go? And got back into it recently, and I will say it is overwhelming. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. There's lots going on, lots of rules to learn, but I will say the experience is amazing. It's if you want to ever create a custom character with a backstory and plot levels and like really in depth, but also can be as shallow as you want it to be. This is that game.
That's
and
so cool.
You can pause it at any time. You can drop it at any time. Like, it is good that way. Everything is, turn-based and stuff. So you don't have to worry about leaving it on or being in the middle of a battle and, the kids are calling, or you have to run to the grocery store or whatever. Totally pausable, totally doable. I can even play it on my Steam Deck, right? Like, I love streaming to it.
Oh, cool.
It just is a lot. So
it just feels like it could be Witcher-esque. Well, actually, that's probably even better as a question. Like, do you think it could be, if it really captured you?
Yeah.
Could it be a game that's like, okay, this will just be the thing that I play now for the next like 10 years?
It very well could be, right? Like, it's just like one of those things. Like, yeah, I'll just chip away at it, and eventually I'll come to the end game at some point. But it might take me a long time.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah,
I look at this, but for me, it just again feels like a retirement game.
Because it very well could be me in retirement finishing this game.
Finally getting around to it.
Yeah.
But when you have those moments where it's like, okay, the kids are a bit older and they're like moved on, you're not working, so you just have these like 8-hour stints that you can really sink yourself into. Like you can have a weekend where you just really get your player going and like immerse yourself in this lore.
Yeah.
And enjoy the game as the way it's supposed to be. But it's just right now, I don't know. Just I'm gonna be like, if you can keep up with the journey, are you gonna keep? I'm curious to see if you're gonna keep with it, if you're actually gonna beat it, like where exactly this journey is gonna take you now that you've re-engaged.
I will definitely keep you updated because yeah, I just did a one battle last night, took 35 minutes where I died at the end of it. So again, one character of 4 died, and I'm wondering
35. It's like, Daryl, come to bed. No, the realm needs saving. Damn it.
And really, it's funny because like I take full responsibility for that fight because again, it was a decision tree. I chose the wrong decisions. I failed the dice roll check.
Yeah.
And I just took it in stride and said, all right, like this is the story I'm gonna make. And then 35 minutes later, I'm like, oh, my character died. So how do I resurrect them? Can you resurrect them? I don't know.
Is my game just over now?
Like, is that my experience? And I beat it, like quotation marks. I'm not sure. So
I did it. I won.
Kind of.
Oh man.
Yeah. So it's awesome.
A lot. Yeah. Like this title, and every year until we retire, which is anywhere from, like call it like 20 years, 10 to 20 years, is like the number of games that will fill up that time.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna have this like we're not gonna have retirement savings. We're gonna just have retirement games, like a whole bank of things that we'll finally get to.
It'll be like the whole thing will be switched up where we're like, oh, you're playing Roblox against kids, but our kids will be like, oh, you're playing Baldur's Gate still. Like, what are you doing, Dad?
I beat that in a week. What's your problem? Shut up, kid. You and your lack of responsibilities.
Exactly.
Hey, keep us posted. That seems absolutely fantastic. All right, everybody. That'll do it there for this week. Going to be a little shorter given how lousy I'm feeling. Jeff's feeling
bars depleting as we go on. Yeah. So
I'm going to start really failing my health checks very shortly.
That's right.
My dice rolls get worse and worse as we proceed. So we're going to take a merciful short episode. But hey, everybody, thank you so much for listening. From the top of the show, again, like one of the greatest parts about this podcast is interacting with the gaming dads. Like, thanks so much this week for the story from the gaming dad who told us they got their kid a PS5 for Christmas. Absolutely love to hear this stuff. So do reach out. Like, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. So you can find us at New Dad Gaming, and that's on Instagram, Twitter, X, Blue Sky, anywhere where Facebook, anywhere you can find us. Go ahead and like follow us, give us a message. Love to hear from you, or write into us from our website, newdadgaming.com. If you did like the show, you can find us on all the major podcasting networks. So Caster, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, anywhere where you get your podcasts, just look for New Dad Gaming. 2 things you can do that really helps out the show is if you like and subscribe on those platforms, and especially if you leave a comment and a rating, helps boost the signal, gets us out to as many gaming dads as possible. Everyone, thank you so much for listening. Until next week, my name's Trevor, and I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 14-year-old and 11-year-old, and I rolled a 5, so that means the check has failed. Trevor is going to bed.
Yeah, it's like Trevor's in death savings throws at this point. He's got to be revived tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks so much for the show. Let's talk to you next week.
See you later.